Welcome friends to another Dune video. One group that began to find its place during the Butlerian Jihad were the Tleilaxu. The war is costing thousands of human lives. Humanity was enslaved by the machines under Omnius and have finally broken away, and war rages within the known universe between both sides. The slaves have become free but must still defeat their masters. At this stage they are called the Tlulaxa, but for the sake of keeping things simple, I will refer to them as the Tleilaxu throughout. Spoilers for the Dune Legends Trilogy from here, let's get into it. The Tleilaxu provided organ farms to help with the casualties of this war. Organs and tissues that were cloned by them would be grown and then sold to those who needed them, such as people in the League of Nobles. One such person was Xavi, who received replacement lungs, and the text tells us that the war-wounded faced terrible losses of limbs and organs. They were willing to accept cloned replacement parts. The Tleilaxu never explained where they had developed or obtained such sophisticated biological technology, but Serena Butler, more on her later, praised their generosity and resources. Later in the jihad, when the demand for their wares increased, it was revealed that the farms needed to be supplied by organs from slaves and captives. Xavi found out about the raids on unallied planets to service the great demand. The text tells us that when the price was right and the need great, the nobles easily swallowed stories of sophisticated biotanks that could grow viable replacement organs. As the war between humans and machines reached a fever pitch, the need for organs could not be covered, so the Tleilaxu slavers had to attack League worlds to supply those same worlds with organs, and would cover it up by making it look like it was a machine assault. Serena Butler wanted to approach the Tleilaxu, though they were fervent isolationists, and ask them to join the League of Nobles, perhaps to get more from them or to get access to their farms, with the benefits being a member of the League would bring them economically. Sarah says, "I will speak with the Tleilaxu representatives. They claim to be our allies, and their organ farms must be expanded to provide what we need, no matter the cost. In this fight for all humanity, they must work closely with us, foregoing excessive profits if necessary, to care for those who risk their lives for freedom." The death of her child had helped spark the jihad, and she was deep into the politics of what would be the Imperium one day. With Ginjo and a Suk doctor, they visited the Tleilaxu homeworld. There they would see the farms and the donors, but the deeper truth, where they came from, was concealed to them. Through the walls of each enclosure, Serena made out murky but recognisable shapes: flaccid sacs of lungs, artery-embroidered hearts, curtains of rigid muscle fibre, like swatches of corduroy. Lifting her head, she gazed across the hillsides, where thousands upon thousands of drooping spheres glinted in the sunlight, absorbing energy from the clear Tlulaxan sky. Years later, Xavi and Iblis would visit the planet. Xavi was contacted by a captive who led him to the pens, and there he saw the truth. Yes, the Tleilaxu have organ farms, but the operations are not very productive. Adequate to generate expensive replacement body parts during peacetime perhaps, but never with the capacity to weather the demands of a jihad. Xavier then learns from the man that Iblis Garon had approved the process. He looks around and sees the confinement beds were like coffins equipped with diagnostics and artificial systems that kept the pathetic, mewling forms alive by pumping fluids into them. The cavernous facility extended as far as he could see under dim lights, Thousands of human bodies lay trapped there, living specimens. Some were nothing but butchered torsos or severed limbs, kept fresh through injections of nutrients and bubbling liquids, mere scraps of dissected humanity. Other bodies were fresh acquisitions, strapped down and held captive while their pieces were removed one by one to fill orders. After witnessing these horrors, Xavier knew he must end it and sets an unchangeable course on the ship that he is travelling back with Iblis on board. Through the ship's autopilot to kill Iblis and make a sacrifice of his own life. Too, so horrified was he. Humanity had escaped the machines, leaving behind the lives of slaves, and now, in the same fight, people were turning on their own kind and repeating that mistake. The book says the cockpit had grown intensely hot. Failing circulation systems groaned and shuddered in an unsuccessful attempt to battle the thermal overloads. Each breath was like fire in Xavier's lungs. He squeezed his eyes shut, but the dazzle and heat still burned his optic nerves. Xavier considered this a fitting funeral pyre for himself and Iblis. Iblis kept screaming as the ship flew into the heart of the sun. As history records, the deaths were never made public, but the truth about the slaves was revealed and the Tleilaxu condemned. Though he did the right thing, making the ultimate sacrifice, to the public, the name Harkonnen was condemned, as he had killed the League of Nobles, Grand Patriarch. Iblis was revered and became a martyr to the cause of the Jihad, a cause for freedom he had undermined with his approval of the capture of slaves for the organ farms. Now, friends, I turn this over to you. How do you think Xavier handled this? Were the Tleilaxu right to use the methods they did? Have you been donated to a Tleilaxu organ farm? Comment down below.